My brother convinced me to invest my entire life savings into his startup, then spent it on luxury cars and vacation homes while lying to everyone that the company was booming. When I discovered the truth, my family called me jealous and ungrateful. So I stayed silent, gathered every receipt and bank statement I could find, and sent it all to his investors. What happened next destroyed everything he'd built on lies. Before we dive in, please take a moment to subscribe and drop a comment telling us where you're from. Your support keeps these stories coming. Let's begin. The email arrived on a Wednesday afternoon while I was restocking shelves at the pharmacy where I'd worked for 12 years. My phone buzzed in my pocket, and when I saw my brother's name, I smiled. Ryan always knew how to brighten my day. Subject line: the opportunity of a lifetime, family first. I wiped my hands on my work vest and opened it in the break room. The message was long, detailed, professional. Ryan had finally done it. After years of talking about his tech dreams, he'd created something real. Meditrack Solutions, a healthcare software platform that would revolutionize how hospitals managed patient data. Sarah, the email began, I'm reaching out to my inner circle first, the people I trust most. We're looking for seed investors before we go public with this. The projections show 300% returns within 18 months. I've already secured commitments from several angel investors, but I wanted to give you first shot at this. Family before everything else. Attached were glossy presentations, financial forecasts, testimonials from healthcare professionals. Everything looked legitimate, polished, real. I was 41 years old, divorced for 6 years, living in a one-bedroom apartment and working 50-hour weeks to build something resembling stability. My savings account held $87,000. Every penny saved from overtime shifts, birthday money from our late father, tax refunds carefully set aside. It was supposed to be my safety net, maybe someday a down payment on a small house. Ryan was 35, charismatic, and had always been the golden child. Where I was cautious, he was bold. Where I saved, he spent. But he'd always landed on his feet, always had a plan, always made things work. That evening, he came to my apartment. He wore an expensive suit I didn't recognize and carried his laptop in a leather bag that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Sis, this is it, he said, spreading papers across my tiny kitchen table. This is the break we've been waiting for. Dad would want us to do this together. Bringing up Dad felt like a punch to the chest. He'd died 3 years earlier, always wishing he could leave us more than just memories and advice. Ryan, this is everything I have. I know, and that's exactly why I'm offering you this chance. You've worked so hard, sacrificed so much. Let me help you build real wealth. Not just surviving, but thriving. His eyes were sincere, his voice steady. This was my brother, the boy who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd defended me from bullies in middle school, who'd held my hand at Dad's funeral. How much do you need? Minimum investment is $50,000. But honestly, Sarah, the more you put in now, the bigger your return. I'm putting in $200,000 myself. I've liquidated almost everything. 2 days later, I transferred $75,000 to Meditrack Solutions LLC. Kept $12,000 back for emergencies, told myself I was being responsible, diversifying. If you've ever trusted the wrong person with everything you had, you understand this moment. Leave a comment below. You're not alone. The first 6 months felt like validation. Ryan sent monthly updates, meetings with hospital executives, beta testing in 3 states, interest from major investors. Photos of him at conferences, shaking hands with people in suits, standing in front of banners with the Meditrack logo. Our mother, Patricia, bragged about him at every family gathering. My son, the entrepreneur. Sarah invested early. She's going to be so proud when this takes off. I smiled, basked in the reflected glow of Ryan's success, felt smart for once instead of just steady. Then the updates started coming slower. Ryan stopped answering calls as quickly. When I asked about returns or dividends, he'd laugh. Sarah, startups don't pay out in the first year. We're reinvesting everything into growth. Trust the process. I trusted. God help me, I trusted completely. Month 9, I needed a new transmission for my car. $3,000 I didn't have. I called Ryan, asked if there was any way to get a small advance on my investment. That's not how this works, he said, his voice tight. You can't just pull money out. It's locked in. Besides, we're at a critical growth phase. Pulling out now would be financial suicide. I'm not pulling out, I just need a small loan against my investment. Sarah, don't be naive. This is business, not a piggy bank. I'll pretend you didn't ask. He hung up. I took the bus to work for 3 months until I could afford the repair. Month 14, our cousin Jennifer's wedding. The venue was a country club, the kind of place our family had never been able to afford. I wore a dress from a thrift store and calculated how much the cab fare would cost. Ryan arrived in a silver Porsche. I stared as he pulled up, the car gleaming under the afternoon sun. He climbed out wearing a tuxedo that fit like it was made for him, which it probably was. New car? I asked, trying to keep my voice light. Lease, he said quickly. Company car, actually. Appearances matter in business. Investors want to see success. That must be expensive. It's an investment in the brand. You wouldn't understand. But I was starting to. At the reception, I watched Ryan buy rounds of top-shelf whiskey for everyone, pick up the tab for his table's meals, tip the bartender with $100 bills. Our mother beamed with pride. Look at how generous he is, Aunt Linda whispered to me. And you got in on the ground floor. You must be thrilled. I should have been. Instead, I felt sick. Ryan, I cornered him near the bar, those updates you've been sending. Can I see actual financial statements? Like, real numbers? His smile tightened. Why? Don't you trust me? Of course I trust you. I just want to understand better. Sarah, you're an investor, not a board member. The detailed financials are confidential. Legal stuff, you know. But everything's great. Better than great. He walked away, leaving me standing alone with a glass of cheap champagne and growing dread in my stomach. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 3 a.m, I opened my laptop and did what I should have done 18 months earlier. I searched. Meditrack Solutions had a website, professional and sleek. But when I dug deeper, looking for news articles, press releases, anything concrete, I found almost nothing. One mention in a small business blog, dated 8 months ago. No hospital partnerships announced. No beta testing results. Nothing. I created a fake LinkedIn profile and searched for Meditrack employees. Ryan was listed as CEO and founder. There were 3 other employees listed. I clicked on their profiles. 2 had worked there for only 2 months. The 3rd was a marketing intern. 4 people, including an intern. For a company that was supposed to be revolutionizing healthcare technology. My hands shook as I opened my email and went back through every update Ryan had sent. I read them differently now, looking for specifics instead of trusting the tone. The language was vague, full of buzzwords but empty of details. Generating significant interest instead of signed 3 contracts. Positioning for major growth instead of hired 5 developers. I barely made it to the bathroom before I threw up. The next morning, exhausted and terrified, I called the number listed on Meditrack's website. A recorded message answered, "You've reached Meditrack Solutions. Please leave a message." No receptionist. No office hours. Just Ryan's voice on a recording. I drove to the address listed on the website during my lunch break. It was a UPS store in a strip mall. A mailbox service, not an office. That's when I knew for certain. My brother had stolen my life savings. I didn't confront him immediately. Something stopped me, some instinct that said I needed proof, needed to be absolutely sure. Instead, I started documenting everything. I printed every email, every update, every financial projection he'd sent. I took screenshots of the website, the LinkedIn profiles, the empty press coverage. I recorded the dates of my wire transfers, the amounts, the account information. Then I hired a private investigator. His name was Thomas Chen, recommended by a lawyer I'd found through an online forum for fraud victims. I met him at a coffee shop, slid an envelope with half his fee across the table, and explained everything. "Find out where my money went," I said. "All of it." 2 weeks later, Thomas called me at work. "You're going to want to sit down for this." The report was 30 pages long. Bank statements, property records, purchase receipts, credit card statements. Thomas had connections I didn't ask about and didn't want to know. Ryan hadn't just spent my $75,000. He'd collected over $600,000 from 7 investors, all family friends or distant relatives. Every penny was gone. The Porsche wasn't a lease. He'd bought it outright for $140,000. The vacation home in Aspen he'd posted photos from on social media, purchased for $380,000, cash down payment. Designer clothes, 5-star restaurants, a boat he kept at a marina 2 hours away. Meditrack solutions existed only on paper. There was no software, no development, no product. Ryan had created elaborate presentations using stock photos and fabricated testimonials. The hospital executives in his conference photos were from a dental convention he'd attended as a guest. My brother wasn't an entrepreneur. He was a con artist, and I was his victim. I sat in my car in the pharmacy parking lot, the report open on my lap, and cried until I couldn't breathe. But grief eventually turns to something else. Something harder. I called Thomas back. "I need more. I need everything you can find on the other investors. Names, contact information, how much they invested. Can you do that?" "Already ahead of you." He emailed me a spreadsheet an hour later. 7 investors, $600,000 total. 3 were extended family members. 2 were friends from Dad's old poker group. 1 was our former neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who'd watched us grow up. The last was Martin Cooper, a local businessman who'd believed Ryan's pitch at a networking event. Each of them thought they were the only ones, or part of a small, exclusive group. Each had been promised returns that would never come. I spent 3 days deciding what to do. Part of me wanted to call Ryan, to scream, to demand answers. But I knew how that would go. He'd have excuses, explanations, promises to make it right. Instead, I called a family meeting. Mom hosted it at her house, the same small ranch where Ryan and I had grown up. She made coffee and set out cookies like we were there for a pleasant chat. Ryan arrived late, breezing in with apologies about her investor call that ran long. He kissed Mom's cheek and nodded at me. "So what's this about?" he asked, settling into Dad's old recliner like he owned it. "I have concerns about Meditrack," I said, my voice steadier than my hands. "I'd like to see real financial statements. Audited numbers. Details on the hospital contracts you've mentioned." Ryan's smile didn't waver. "Sarah, we've been through this. That information is confidential. You signed an NDA. I signed an investment agreement. There was no NDA. Well, there should have been. Look, I don't have time for this. The company is doing great. You need to be patient." I drove to the office address. It's a mailbox at a UPS store. The room went silent. Mom's coffee cup paused halfway to her lips. Ryan laughed, but it sounded forced. "Of course it is. We're a virtual company. That's how startups work now. Overhead is expensive. We keep costs low. Where are the employees?" LinkedIn shows 4 people, including an intern. We contract most work out. Again, this is standard practice. "Sarah, I don't know what's gotten into you, but you're embarrassing yourself." "Where's my money, Ryan?" "It's in the company. Invested in development, marketing, growth. Exactly where you wanted it. Mom set her cup down. Sarah, honey, what's this really about? Are you having money troubles? Because if you need a loan, I need my investment back. Or proof it's actually invested in something real. Ryan stood up. You know what? I don't need this. I'm trying to build something important, and you're sabotaging it because you're jealous. You've always been jealous. Jealous of what? Of me. Of my success. You're stuck in a dead-end job, living in a sad little apartment, and you can't stand that I'm actually making something of myself. The words hit like slaps. Mom gasped but didn't defend me. Ryan, that's not fair, Mom said weakly. Sarah's just worried. She's being ungrateful. I gave her an opportunity most people would kill for, and she's throwing it in my face. He grabbed his jacket. When Meditrack goes public and you're all millionaires, remember this moment. Remember how little faith you had. He left. The door slammed. Mom turned to me with disappointment in her eyes. Why would you do that? Ryan's under so much pressure. Mom, I don't think the company is real. Don't be ridiculous. I've seen the presentations. He's brilliant. Have you seen actual proof? Financial statements. Contracts. I don't need proof. He's my son. He wouldn't lie to his own family. I left her house knowing I was alone in this. Over the next week, Ryan launched a campaign. He called our aunts, our uncles, our cousins. Told them I was having a breakdown, that I was trying to destroy his company out of spite. Posted vague messages on social media about betrayal and family loyalty. Aunt Linda called me. Sarah, honey, I know you're going through something, but attacking Ryan isn't the answer. He's trying so hard. Uncle James texted, family sticks together. Whatever's going on between you two, work it out privately. Even my best friend from high school, Rachel, who'd known me for 25 years, seemed uncertain. Are you sure you're not misunderstanding something? Business is complicated. Only one person believed me without question, Mrs. Chen, our former neighbor, who'd also invested. I had doubts, she admitted when I called her. The updates seemed too perfect, too vague. But I didn't want to seem paranoid. How much did you invest? 60,000. My retirement savings. My heart broke. Mrs. Chen, I'm so sorry. Don't you apologize. This isn't your fault. What are you going to do? I'm going to prove it. All of it. And then I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth. How can I help? That question changed everything. Mrs. Chen and I met the next day. I brought my documentation. She brought hers. Together, we had a complete picture of Ryan's lies. We need to find the other investors, I said. Martin Cooper, Dad's poker friends, everyone. If we all come forward together, he can't dismiss us as crazy. Agreed. But we need more than our stories. We need evidence even he can't explain away. That's when I had the idea. His investor reports. He's been sending monthly updates to everyone. If we compare them, we can find the contradictions. And I bet if we push for a meeting, an actual in-person investor meeting, he'll refuse or make excuses. Mrs. Chen smiled grimly. Let's find out. We spent 2 weeks quietly contacting the other investors. Most were hesitant at first, defensive even. Ryan had done his work well, painting me as unstable and vindictive. But when we showed them our documentation, compared notes on his promises, pointed out the inconsistencies, doubt began to creep in. Martin Cooper, the businessman, was the turning point. I've been in startups for 20 years, he said when the three of us met at his office. Looking at this now, with clear eyes, it's obvious. The projections are fantasy. The timeline is impossible. The overhead numbers don't add up. Will you help us? I asked. He looked at the papers spread across his desk, at my desperate face, at Mrs. Chen's determined expression. Then he nodded. I'll do better than help. I'll use my connections. If Meditrack is real, There will be documentation somewhere. Business licenses, insurance policies, vendor contracts. And if it's not, then we'll have proof, Mrs. Chen finished. Martin's investigation took 10 days. What he found confirmed our worst fears and gave us the ammunition we needed. Meditrack Solutions LLC existed, but only as a shell. Business license filed, minimal annual fees paid, but no operating activity. No employees on payroll. No vendor payments except to a web hosting service and a graphic designer. No insurance policies. No office lease. No development contracts. The business bank account showed the investor deposits coming in, then being immediately transferred to Ryan's personal account. From there, the money scattered: car dealerships, real estate agencies, luxury retailers, travel bookings. He didn't even try to hide it well, Martin said, his voice disgusted. He assumed no one would look. We had 5 of the 7 investors on board now. The other 2, Ryan's college roommate and a distant cousin, refused to believe us. That was fine. We had enough. So what's the plan? Martin asked. I pulled out the letter I'd drafted and redrafted a dozen times. We send this. The letter was formal, polite, and devastating. It requested an in-person meeting with all investors, a full financial audit, and detailed progress reports on product development. It cited specific inconsistencies in his monthly updates. It gave him 14 days to comply. We sent it certified mail, signature required. All 5 of us signed it. Ryan called me 6 hours after the letter was delivered. I was at work, restocking the pharmacy's cold medicine aisle. What the hell is this? His voice shook with rage. It's a formal request for information about my investment. You turned people against me. Mrs. Chen, Martin, even Uncle Tom. You poisoned them. I showed them documentation. They made their own choices. This is insane. You're insane. Then prove me wrong. Show us the financials. Bring us to the office. Introduce us to the team. Show us the product. Silence. Ryan, you want to see the product? His voice changed, became cold. Fine. I'll show all of you. 2 weeks from now. But when you see how successful this is, I want an apology. A public apology. If the company is real and successful, you'll get one. He hung up. The 2 weeks felt like years. Ryan went silent on social media, stopped responding to family calls, disappeared into whatever hole he was frantically trying to dig himself out of. Mom called me twice, her voice pleading. Can't you just drop this? He's your brother. He stole from me, Mom. He's building something. These things take time. Where's the product? Where's the office? Where are the employees? You don't understand business. Neither do I. But we have to trust him. Why? Because he's charming. Because he tells good stories. Because his family. I stopped answering her calls. The meeting date arrived. Ryan had rented a conference room at a local hotel. Professional, neutral territory. 5 investors showed up. Me, Mrs. Chen, Martin, Uncle Tom, and Dad's old friend Richard. Ryan arrived 15 minutes late, carrying a laptop and a leather portfolio. He wore a suit that probably cost $3,000. He looked tired, though, with dark circles under his eyes. Thank you all for coming, he began, setting up a projector. I know there have been concerns, and I'm here to address them. For the next hour, he performed. That's the only word for it. Slides showing growth projections, screenshots of supposed client emails, mock-ups of the software interface. He talked fast, used technical jargon, tried to overwhelm us with information. But we'd prepared. Martin started asking questions. You mentioned 3 hospital beta tests. Which hospitals? Ryan's smile flickered. I can't disclose that. Confidentiality agreements. Okay. How many users have tested the software? We're in closed beta. Limited user base right now. How limited? That information is proprietary. Mrs. Chen leaned forward. Ryan, sweetie, can you show us the actual software? Running, working, not just mock-ups. It's on a secure server. I don't have access from this laptop. Convenient, I muttered. His eyes snapped to me. You got something to say, Sarah? I stood up and pulled out my folder. The one I'd been building for months. I have a lot to say. Let's start with the office address that's actually a mailbox. Or the 4 employees listed on LinkedIn, 3 of whom have only been there for weeks. Or the bank statements showing investor money going directly into your personal account. The room went dead silent. How did you had no right. I had every right. You took my life savings. You lied to all of us. I turned to the others. He bought a Porsche with our money. A vacation home in Aspen. A boat. Designer clothes. There is no company. There never was. Just presentations and lies. Ryan's face went red. You're making things up. You're lying because you're jealous and small Anne. Prove it, Martin interrupted, his voice hard. Right now. Show us one piece of real evidence that Meditrack exists as a functioning company. 1 contract. 1 employee on payroll. 1 line of actual code. Ryan stood there, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Then he grabbed his laptop. I don't have to prove anything to you people. You're all too stupid to understand what I'm building. Sarah's poisoned you against me because she's always resented my success. He headed for the door. If you leave, I called after him, we're filing a police report. Fraud. Theft. Whatever charges stick. He stopped, his hand on the doorknob. You wouldn't. Watch me. Uncle Tom stood up, his face pale. Ryan, son, just be honest. Is Sarah telling the truth? For a moment, I saw my brother again. Not the con artist, but the scared kid underneath. His shoulders slumped. It was supposed to be real, he whispered. I was going to build it. I just needed time to create the right image first. Investors want to see success. I was going to pay everyone back once the real money came in. You spent $600,000 on yourself, Mrs. Chen said quietly. There was never going to be a real company. There was. I just needed to look successful first. Fake it till you make it, right? Everyone does it. Not with other people's money, Martin said. Ryan looked at me, his eyes pleading. Sarah, please. Don't do this. I'm your brother. Think about what this will do to Mom, to the family. You should have thought about that before you stole from us. I'll pay you back. I swear. Just give me time. With what money? You spent it all. He had no answer. We left him standing in that conference room, and we went directly to the police station. All 5 of us gave statements. I handed over my documentation. Martin provided his investigation results. By evening, the detective assigned to our case had enough to open a formal investigation. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Mom called me at midnight, screaming, "How could you? He's your brother. You've destroyed him. He destroyed himself." The police came to his house. Everyone knows. The whole family is talking. You've humiliated us all. He humiliated us by being a thief. He made a mistake. He needs support, not punishment. He stole my life savings, Mom. He stole from elderly Mrs. Chen. He stole from Dad's friends. He's not a victim. You're dead to me. Both of my children are dead to me now. She hung up. The extended family fractured. Half believed me, disgusted by Ryan's betrayal. Half blamed me for airing family business and not handling it privately. Aunt Linda posted on Facebook, Sarah destroyed her brother's dreams because she couldn't stand his success. Family should lift each other up, not tear each other down. I didn't respond. Neither did I cry anymore. I was empty. The criminal investigation took 4 months. Ryan hired a lawyer, tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding, that he'd fully intended to make the company real. The evidence was too overwhelming. He pleaded guilty to 6 counts of wire fraud. The 7th investor, his college roommate, refused to press charges, still believing Ryan had meant well. The sentencing hearing was in October. I attended, sitting in the back row. Mom was there, front row, crying. Ryan looked smaller in his cheap suit, nothing like the confident entrepreneur he'd pretended to be. The judge was not sympathetic. You exploited the trust of family and friends for personal gain. You lived lavishly while your victims struggled. The sentence is 36 months in federal prison, followed by 5 years supervised release, and full restitution to all victims. Mom wailed. Ryan's shoulders shook. I felt nothing. Restitution meant Ryan had to repay everything. The problem, he had nothing left. The Porsche was seized and sold. The Aspen property went into foreclosure. The boat was auctioned. All told, the assets covered about $200,000 of the $600,000 stolen. The rest would come from his prison work wages, garnished at 75%. At prison wages, it would take him approximately 25 years to repay us fully. I would likely never see most of my money again. Mrs. Chen and I became close during those months. We met for coffee every Sunday, 2 women rebuilding their lives from the rubble of betrayal. I'm thinking of moving in with my daughter in Portland, she said one morning. There's nothing for me here anymore. I understand. What about you? What will you do? I'd been thinking about that. I don't know yet. But I'm not leaving. This is my home. I won't let him take that from me too. A year after Ryan went to prison, I received a letter. His handwriting, familiar and strange all at once. Sarah. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I know it doesn't give you back what I took. I was stupid and arrogant and convinced I could make it all work out. I wanted to be successful so badly that I forgot what actually matters. You did the right thing. I hate that you did, but you were right. I needed to be stopped before I hurt more people. Mom won't talk to me. Most of the family won't. The only person who visits is Aunt Linda, and she spends the whole time crying and asking why I threw my life away. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that I understand now what I did. Not just the legal stuff, but what I did to you. You trusted me because I was your brother, and I used that against you. I'm going to spend the rest of my life paying back what I stole. Probably won't live long enough to pay it all, but I'll try. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. You were braver than I ever was. You told the truth even when everyone turned against you. I hope someday you can think of me without hating me. Ryan. I folded the letter carefully and put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe I wouldn't. The thing about betrayal is that it changes you. Not always in bad ways. I started a support group for fraud victims. We meet twice a month at the public library. 8 regular members now, people who'd been scammed by family, friends, romantic partners. We share our stories, our strategies for recovery, our small victories. I changed jobs too. The pharmacy offered me a management position, better pay, better hours. I'm saving again, slowly. This time, the money stays in my account, under my control. Last month, I moved into a small house. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. Mortgage in my name only, decisions made by me alone. Mom and I don't speak. Maybe someday we will. Maybe not. I've made peace with either outcome. Martin Cooper became a friend. He introduced me to his business network, helped me understand investing properly. Real investments, he said, don't require you to trust blindly. They have documentation, transparency, accountability. Uncle Tom apologized, the first family member to do so. I should have listened to you earlier. I got caught up in the excitement and forgot to think critically. We all did, I told him. That's how con artists work. Even when they're your brother. Yesterday, I received my first restitution check from the prison system. $47. I stared at it for a long time. At this rate, I'd be 86 years old before I was fully repaid. Then I laughed. Not bitterly, but really laughed. Because the money didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that I'd stood up for myself. I'd refused to be silent. I'd demanded truth and accountability, even when it cost me my family's approval. The $47 check went into my savings account, the first of many small deposits to come. But the real repayment had already happened. I'd gotten myself back. If this story resonates with you, please like, subscribe, and share your experience in the comments. You're not alone. Trust is precious, and protecting yourself isn't betrayal. Sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same thing. And sometimes walking away from family is how you save yourself.